Hello everyone, this is Reggie. I am the washer dryer nerd. I do washer and dryer repair exclusively, so I do consider myself a bit of a specialist. So today what I'm going over with you, before we start, I was going to say make sure you subscribe please. I'm having more and more videos coming out on ways to save you money and keeping these things up and running without having to call a guy like me to come out and fix it, and obviously that's going to cost you more. So, what we're going to do today is we're going over the symptom of if you have a dryer that dries, gets hot, but for some reason it takes 2 or 3 cycles to dry your clothes. Now, outside of, if your washer isn't working properly and they're soaking wet, obviously that's kind of apparent, that's probably a washer issue. And those type of things you don't want to put in your dryer because that's how your belt breaks. Well, that's another video. Regular clothes, you put them in here, takes 2 or 3 cycles to dry. Now, typically, when I get that call from a customer, it's because it's a restriction in the airflow. Basically meaning that the air isn't able to leave the dryer. You have a visitor here. Thank you, son. Okay. So, you gonna help me? There you go. Okay. Say hi. Huh? Okay. So anyway, typically first thing you want to do is check the lint trap. If this is thick, that means the air cannot pass through, which means it's not being exhausted to the outside, which means that moisture is staying inside the dryer. So eventually the clothes will get dry, but it doesn't matter how long, because basically what's happening is the moisture isn't leaving the dryer. So if that checks out, the next thing usually is the dryer typically is pushed too far back against the wall, which happens typically when you're trying to line them up and people just force them back, and that typically pinches your exhaust hose. And so if your exhaust hose is crinkled up and it's pinched up against the wall, that typically creates an air restriction. You'll see a bunch of lint built up right here, and that will prevent your dryer from drying properly. So check that, and typically when that happens, that causes other symptoms. So you have lint built up inside the dryer, you might have lint built up on the outside where the duct exhausts the air out. So first thing you want to do is unplug your dryer. Be very careful when you do this. This is 240 volts, which is enough to stop your heart. So you want to just grab it by the bottom, just wiggle it loose. So we're going to start first by accessing the dryer, the air duct. So I'm going to do an internal air duct cleaning of this dryer. Now this is a Whirlpool brand dryer. This one happens to say Maytag, but all the guts and design is Whirlpool. Excuse me. So we're talking about the same dryer. If you have a lint trap on top, it's a Whirlpool brand dryer. So this is the right video for you. So first thing we're going to do is remove the screws from the top of the air duct. Typically, you want to use your hand to block the screw from falling down inside, which will happen. So now we remove that. If you don't have a power drill, Phillips head screwdriver takes that apart. Now, depending on your laundry room, I've learned the best way to work on these things. Turn your dryer around and have full access. Don't try to squeeze your way behind between the wall and the dryer. And, you spend a few more minutes to accommodate yourself to actually have room to work. It makes things a lot easier. It saves you time and reduces frustration, which is just part of fixing anything. So now what we're going to do is you take your 1/4 inch, 1/4 nut driver and remove this back panel. So you're going to have 8 to 9 screws to remove, depending on how often this thing was worked on. So we're going to remove this back panel, and our goal is to get that air duct off so we can inspect it. Now there's nothing wrong with this particular dryer, but I'm just using this as an illustration. So we remove this panel, and future reference, this is where the air, all the guts is. The motor, everything's inside, but this is where your high limit thermostat is. This thermostat is a protection thermostat, which if the heating element gets too hot, it automatically shuts everything down. This is your heating element. This is your thermal fuse. If you have a blockage in which it gets too hot inside the dryer, this shuts everything down. And then you have your heat regulator on your element. So anyway, this is your air duct. What we're going to do is take this off. You have 4 screws. You just pull up on it. Be careful, make sure the dryer don't drop on you. Pull up on it. And yank it out. Alright, so this is the air path. This is your fan. And it basically sucks the air through here. And it comes through here and out through your exhaust. So you want to make sure this is clean. You hit it with your vacuum cleaner. Now, if this was a clogged up air duct, again, this dryer has no issues. But typically, when I go on a repair and the dryer it gets hot but doesn't dry clothes in one cycle, it's because this is typically clogged up. So you'll see lint like up to here. You'll find pencils and pens and all kind of junk in here. And it usually comes through the holes, so be sure you check your pockets and clothes before you put them inside the dryer. Another thing too is with your lint trap, if this thing never gets changed or rarely is changed, and you decide, months later to pull this thing out and it's full of lint, a lot of times that lint will be so thick, it'll roll up in here and create a blockage also. So just be sure you vacuum this part out and go get down inside to make sure that's clear. So if your dryer is clean as this one is, then the problem isn't an internal issue, it's an external issue, which means it's either your exhaust hose, the accordion style hose that connects to the outside, or it's the outside vent, which we're going to travel outside and I'll show you how to check that too. I mean, that's usually very obvious. Depends on where it's located. Sometimes it's up on the side of the house or through the roof, which is at that point you have to get a professional to clean it out. But if it's on the side of the house, and if they get a ladder, be careful. Or if it's ground level, you can just kind of inspect it with your eyes and see if there's like a bird nest, or make sure it's able to blow air out. So we're gonna go ahead and put this back together, and I'll meet you outside. All right, so we've located the dryer exhaust vent, which is outside the house, and it looks just like this. It'll be here, the laundry room is on the other side, or sometimes it's on the second floor, so it'll be up top, or on the roof, which is that's not good because you have to get a professional to clean your air ducts in. So anyway, you basically inspect it, make sure the flap is closed, and usually these have like a grate over them to keep any animals out of them, just in case your flap is stuck open. The reason why every once in a while I'll see one without a flap. Let me show you so you know what I'm talking about. Alrighty, this won't be a smooth transaction, but let's see. All right, so that's what it looks like, and this is the flap I'm talking about. All right, and usually there's like a grate over it. I mean, that's optional. So usually, if you don't have that flap, what happens is the moisture from the outside gets into the dryer itself, and also that accordion exhaust. Sorry, I had a brain fart. The accordion exhaust. And what typically happens is it'll start, all the lint that comes out, it'll stick to the sides and get clogged, or you'll have a bird make a nice little home in there, which you don't want either. So you definitely want to put a flap on it. These are very easy to install. You just screw them in. You get them at Home Depot for about 15 bucks. And that's it. So you want to inspect that at least once a year. Again, if your dryer dries, gets hot, but takes 2 or 3 times to dry your clothes, it's either, just in summary, the lint trap needs to be clean, the internal air duct or dryer needs to be clean, the exhaust hose, the silver accordion thing behind your dryer, is either pinched or restricted, and or this is clogged up, and the door is either, sometimes you have a wasp nest in there too, in which will keep that door from opening. So for some reason there's an air restriction. So typically those are the 95% of the time, those are the reason why the dryer gets hot but takes 2 or 3 cycles to dry. Now if you have other symptoms, look on my page. I'll have other videos about different other types of symptoms and how to solve them for your dryer. Please leave any questions and comments below, and I'll answer them promptly. Thank you.